Oh. This is one of those weird days. Okay, good morning, welcome everybody to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker-Carl, broadcasting to you live from Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm here with my good friends Sandy and Catherine and Donna. And today we are talking about, actually we're in chapter 10 of the book, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. And we're talking about verse 10 of the Tao Te Ching and Wayne Dyer's interpretation of that and our interpretation of it as well. And so for those of you who are out there watching us, jump over to SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. That is our live broadcast on our website, where you can scroll down to the bottom and add your comments as we go through this discussion, and tell us what you think that this verse is trying to convey to us, and share your thoughts on what we talk about as well. And but before we get going with this discussion, I want to give my friends an opportunity to introduce themselves, and for those of you who are watching, to get over to the right page so you can introduce yourself. And Chris Camp, if you're out there and you're watching, I don't know, one of these days we're going to get you on here. If you've got your webcam set up, let me know. As soon as you do, we'll get you on here, because I know you're having problems with the commenting system. And so I'm going to try and figure out where you are. I think that I may open the YouTube page and watch for you there. So, okay, anyway, that's it. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys, and I'm going to busy myself in the background for a moment.
Good morning, Sandy Root here in Miami Beach, Florida. And yeah, I just read the blog post on this that you wrote, Catherine, correct? Very good, and definitely got things stirring in my mind, so excited to discuss.
Thank you, Sandy. This is Catherine Clement in Boulder, Colorado, and looking forward to today's verse and hearing everybody's opinions. And I see Julia made a nice comment over on the blog post, so we'll have to make sure and read her. She's not going to be here today? No?
Okay, everybody say, okay, good morning, Donna, hanging out from you from Raleigh, North Carolina. Looking forward to the discussion. Interesting.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I was on the wrong page and trying to scroll down, and Chrome has taken up a bunch of resources this morning on my computer for some odd reason. Okay, so anyway, we're talking about verse 10 of the Tao Te Ching, and it talks about embracing oneness. And Catherine just wrote a wonderful post for us on the blog today, or this week. And she helped us kind of address each part of this verse. But before we start talking about, why don't we read the verse, and then we can kind of discuss it. I think maybe even this week we would kind of discuss it each section like Catherine did on the blog post. What do you guys think? Who wants to read that verse? You want to jump out again, Sandy?
Sure. Yeah, I think discussing it in the sections is a good idea too, because there's a lot of information. I'm like, every section I'm like, ooh, I have something to say. So, so this verse, 10th verse, carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Can you let your body become as supple as a newborn child's? In the opening and shutting of heaven's gate, can you play the feminine part? Can you love your people and govern your domain without self-importance? Giving birth and nourishing, having yet not possessing, working yet not taking credit, leading without controlling or dominating. One who heeds this power brings the Tao to this very earth. This is the primal virtue.
Thank you, Sandy. Yeah, I wanted to kind of open our discussion with this first part of the chapter, where Wayne kind of shares his thoughts on what this verse is about. And he says, this verse of the Tao Te Ching examines the paradoxical nature of life on earth. Lao Tzu encourages the attainment of comfort with the seemingly incompatible opposites of body and soul, which form the basis of our life. We are connected to the power of the eternal Tao while simultaneously being in a moral physique. As we take on this seemingly ambiguous stance, we begin to see the world revealed as flawless. Everything seems to be absolute in an opportunity to recognize its paradoxical reality. And then down below that he says, this 10th verse promotes a way of living that is guided by the power of embracing the one, when the illusion of duality appears more powerful. And I thought that this was just a really, for me, it seems like it's just that whole reminder of telling us that, okay, even though we're living in this physical realm, is that we are spiritual beings, and kind of we have to live in this, we have to live in this physical realm, but we don't have to necessarily take on all of the egos and all of the attitudes of the physical people. And I think that we've always felt like we're separated from God and the spiritual and all of that. In reality, it's all one, and it's kind of reminding us of that, and that how we can live in this physical life yet be a spiritual being at the same time. And so I think that's really powerful. Welcome, Jason. That's why I just saw you jump in.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. I hope you can't hear the guy mowing the lawn next door. Okay, good. Yeah, I had to move to the back room today. But gosh, it's so great to be here. And I was just listening to what you said, and that kind of helps me, because I'm having a little bit of difficulty really understanding what they're trying to say, other than that, the fact that we're both, spiritual and physical beings, and we have to deal with all the harsh realities of living on Earth, but then we also need to keep in our perspective the reality of, and not let go of the reality of our spirituality, or our spirit within us, I should say, I guess. So but yeah, so I'm just glad to be here, you guys. It's so awesome. It's a beautiful morning here, and I hope you guys are having a great morning too.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. We're glad to have you too. You bring a ray of sunshine into the conversation every time that you join us. I think, well, we all do, I think, Catherine always has so many wonderful things to say, and so does Sandy and Donna, and even when Dan and Chris and everybody is on here, it's wonderful. I just enjoy everybody's conversation so very much. And that's what we're here for, is that we can all come together and share our light with each other, share our insights and our experiences, so that we can all learn and grow and become the best version of ourselves, right? So let's kind of just talk about this first part. It says, carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Who wants to share their thoughts on that first section? Who wants to jump out first? I can read what Julia said. I can start there.
Yeah, nobody's jumping. We can start over there.
Okay. All right, let me jump over there real quick. Okay, so Julia says, hello everyone. This is a very interesting subject, because the only words that I was visibly seeing in my mind when reading this verse is relationship. We all want to feel connected in some sort of way to everything and everyone around us. However, how do you realize when a connection is real, where you feel the love in your heart and soul, or when it's superficial, where you question if the relationship is real? Prior to giving my life to the Lord and Savior, I was confused, unhappy, and everything seemed to be foggy. I've come to learn through my 40-plus years in life that if I allow other people to control me, or me try and control others, it will never bring me the peace, love, joy, happiness that I deserve. That is my God-given right to have. Once I let go of that concept, then enjoying life and holding on to my belief of Jesus' promise became so present and alive within me. I felt free. A burden was lifted from my shoulders. Yes, we may have many hats to wear: mother, wife, worker, aunt, sister, father, husband, uncle, etc. But what about you as a person? What about the relationship with your higher self? The point is, don't forget about you, because you are the absolute best friend you can have here in this physical world. So take care of your body and soul. Be true to you. Love you. That love and goodness in you will trickle to others around you, family, friends, coworkers, etc. I believe that every relationship has to bring peace and happiness, a deeper emotional and spiritual connection. I truthfully and honestly say without a doubt that through this love and my personal relationship with the Lord, my Savior, I am able to connect with others in a more loving, caring manner. I learned to love unselfishly, enjoy life, respect others' beliefs and opinions. I learned to love and respect the people around me. That is so wonderful. I love what she shared there. And I agree. It's about relationships more than anything. It's about our relationship with ourselves and with others. And I think that's kind of what he's trying to tell us here with the oneness, is that it's that oneness with each other, the oneness with nature, the oneness with the spirituality and our God, and all of those things, and that we can express through love is the best way to kind of expand on that in the relationship areas. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that was a great post. It's definitely, it starts with our relationship with ourself and that self-love, and ultimately being our best friend, like you said there, Julia, is beautiful. This whole section actually brought me, because when I was reading the bold point in the book, embrace oneness by seeing yourself in everyone you encounter, I guess it brings, not to make this a political discussion, but it with all the debate going on with the presidential candidates, and you see these posts on Facebooks and people just getting into like, rah, and unfriend me if you're voting for this person, and I don't, blah, blah, blah. And I had my own things coming up that were really like fear and some shock and some disbelief at certain things going on in the arena. And when I read this, it's like, okay, that they're part of me too. The ones that I think are so like not like I don't want to be near them or anything. That's inside of me too. What they are, because we're all one. And so I think it brings up those feelings too, because I have those qualities, as we all do. That's why it's appearing in our reality. So it's challenging to look at and be like, oh, how can I embrace all these people, even if I'm disagreeing with them or think that they're behaving horribly or something, to not be in judgment and to accept that that's where they are and not let it affect me, because there were moments where I could feel it shifting stuff in my body, just the emotions that would come up. So I don't know if anyone has insight on how to deal with those challenges, because it can be very challenging. And I think, when we're dealing with body and spirit, it can almost feel, I don't know how to describe it, like something that feels like turmoil in the physical. Because I also had this in a personal situation this week where I was almost thinking this worst case scenario in a situation in my life. And it was a possibility, but I took it to like the farthest degree where I'm like, am I just being unreasonable, or is it my intuition? And I think the mind on that physical realm versus the intuition more on the spiritual realm, and how to differentiate. So that was coming up for me a lot too, to really how to differentiate what our mind's saying and what our intuition is saying. So I guess these are more just questions. I don't have any answers. I'm just throwing it all out there. So that's it for now. I have more for later.
That's wonderful, Sandy. I'm sorry that you're having some challenges this week. The energy is really crazy lately. I loved what you said in your post there, Julia. It was very beautiful. Just that's exactly how I described it, Sandy. It's beautiful. Our relationship to ourselves, absolutely. You know, it's so funny you bring that up because it's really easy to, well, at least in our calm moments, for sure, it's really easy to like feel at one with everything when everything is very zen-like and calm, you know. But then when you see somebody over there acting up, it's like you said, it's like, well, yeah, I'm one, but they're sure as hell not. You know? Not that one. You know, so we really, that's hilarious that you bring that up because that's when it really gets challenging, you know, when we see people or meet people or hear about people that have such different beliefs. And I don't think that it always mirrors that we have those exact same beliefs or emotions, but it can certainly mirror that we're not that we have conflicting beliefs and emotions within ourselves. You know what I mean? I don't think it has to be an exact mirror, but it kind of it shows us where we're unsettled within ourselves. And it definitely, you know, I am here to tell you I have anger too. And it comes out at the strangest times. So none of us are beyond emotion, I don't think. And I certainly wouldn't want to be, if you know what I mean, because that's what makes us human. I think our emotions can get out of control if we let our thoughts get out of control and then we actually believe our thoughts. I think we can get into a whole lot of trouble there. Like you said, you took it to the very worst case scenario, and we have a tendency to do that. You know, as humans, we have a tendency to project like that onto other people or project into the future and think. We can think either positive or negative things, of course, but oftentimes we tend to go, that fear comes up and we tend to go to that worst case scenario. And you know, sometimes that's not always the worst thing to do, because I've actually pulled myself out of some downward spirals by doing exactly that. Okay, what is the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that can happen? And then once I realized that even that is just temporary and I'm going to get through that too, you know, then sometimes that just eases up the whole situation. But when you were asking about how to tell if it's intuition or if it's just fear, and you answered your own question when you were asking it, because it's the way that it feels. You know, it's the way that it feels in your body. Fear can feel like different things in your body. It can feel like anxiety, and it can feel like all kinds of other things. But intuition has no emotion behind it. Intuition is just a very neutral, soft voice that just states the truth, and there's no emotion, there's no fear, it just feels like a deep breath, you know, like a good deep breath in your body instead of turmoil. Or at least to me, that would be the way that I would judge those things, whether it was coming from intuition. Because when God speaks to you, I mean, there's no humanness involved, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree with you, Catherine, that intuition, it feels more like a love embrace and a calming effect of, you know, almost like if you're just, and if you take a moment and just kind of allow the feelings and the energy to wash over you, and you know, well, like this week, I started really kind of feeling like I was starting to fall into like some chaotic energy just with everything that's going on. And then just taking a couple of moments and just putting like a gratitude feeling out into the universe, and of course that comes back to me, and then things just were kind of synchronistically happening and coming together, and it was like it feels easy when it's the intuitive side, and it feels stressful and anxious and chaotic when it's the other side. And I mean, sometimes it can be hard to tell when it's a subtle situation that you're dealing with, but I feel like when it's a major emotional feeling, if it feels emotional, it's stressful. Yeah, even if it's a strong, I don't know. I mean, sometimes when you just are in a super excited mode, it can even be somewhat stressful, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of my experience on it. But I wanted to just real quick just say good morning and welcome to Karen and Heron. I saw your comments on the event page and on our blog post, guys. Welcome, welcome. And so who else wants to jump out and share their thoughts? Should we go on to the next section?
Yeah, let's go on to the next section.
Okay. All right. So the next section says, can you let your body become as supple as a newborn child's in the opening and shutting? Oh, these are two set. I don't know. Would you say those are to the same part? Yeah. Okay. You addressed those separately, didn't you, Catherine? Let's go with the first part, just can you let your body become as supple as a newborn child? And I loved what you were talking about, Catherine, in the blog post about the health and your beliefs about what your health is going to be, or and that kind of manifests in our lives. A friend of mine was telling me just yesterday how she's coming into menopause at that point in her life, and she's been feeling fine. But her husband kind of freaked out because he's afraid something's going to happen or whatever, and so her beliefs are I'm perfectly healthy, and his are something completely different, and but it's funny how we have these thoughts come up in our lives. We've been told, okay, as you get older, you're going to start having, osteoporosis, and you're going to start being less comfortable, and your joints are going to hurt more, and inevitably, if we believe that, if we think that that's true, then that's what is going to happen, right? And if we have that kind of faith in ourselves that we can overcome whatever happens in our lives. Recently, over the past few years, I've managed to sprain both of my ankles in a period of like a 3-year period of time. I did one, and then I did another one. And they tell you if you sprained your ankle, then you're going to be more prone to sprain your ankle again, right? And it's like, and that's just totally a belief. And it's just that's what they tell you, and that's what you're supposed to believe, and so you should be extra careful. And so then I feel like a lot of times people will be told these things, and then they go delicately through life trying to avoid having anything happen. And I've been all about just strengthening my ankles and working my feet more and going, okay, I sprained my ankle, and to me, that's an indication that I haven't been exercising enough, because if I had, then this wouldn't have happened in the first place. I could have taken that tumble, rolled up, jumped up, and kept on going, but instead I didn't. And so for me, I'm like, every time anything comes up in the world that, kind of gives you this idea of what, they say, that whoever they are, says, you're going to have this or you're going to have that happen to you when you get to a certain age, or you face a certain, health problem or whatever. I'm like, I'm bucking against that. I'm like, no, I'm not. Just because I'm getting older doesn't mean that I'm going to start having all these problems, and so that's my thought on it. What do you guys think? Do you think that you have that control and you can choose how your body is going to respond as you get older and face different situations?
Yeah, I'll jump out. Yeah, I tended to always have been like that since I was a kid. Like when people would say, this happens when you get older and this happens, I was like, why? That doesn't make, like, it didn't make sense to me. Like, why? That's hogwash. Like, I'm not going to be like that when I'm older, you know? So it's always been in my knowledge that it doesn't have to turn this way. And I think, you know, people just repeat these phrases that they hear all the time. When you get older, you have to do this, or when you get older, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And I'm like, and I catch, you know, people say these things sometimes, and I'm like, that's not true. Like my mom a lot, she'll like, oh, you know, I'm getting old, I'm losing my memory, and I'm like, stop it. You know, like, that's not true. So I totally don't believe all that aging hype. Of course, our body naturally ages, I guess, but I don't know. Then there's the monks that don't age, so I don't think we have to age. I'm like, I'm getting younger every year. So, and then I like what you wrote, Catherine, about it. This line also speaking to being supple in our thinking, and I think that's really important because, like you said in the post, our thoughts can get rigid, our beliefs can get rigid, and you know, I was talking with a friend recently about this when we were talking about somebody who was, I believe they're in their 60s or 70s, and she was saying, oh, you know, they're at this point in their life and they're stuck in these thoughts and beliefs that they never, like someone who never really worked on self-development or anything, they're so, they see the world in a certain way, and to change their thoughts and beliefs at that point, that like you'd have to take major rewiring. But so I think it's important to really be supple in our thoughts, and I think that's a great point, to, you know, be open-minded, to allow new beliefs to come in, and new thoughts to come in, and to, you know, question things rather than thinking this is the way things are and this is the way it's always going to be, to question things and, okay, maybe I can look at this a different way. So that's it.
That is awesome. That is really cool. You know, it's kind of like that example you're talking about there, Samantha, where you twist an ankle, someone gives you some advice, and then you go through life heeding that advice, not knowing there's any other way. And you know, like you're saying there, Sandy, you know, can we go through life without these these calluses that have, you know, rub us the wrong way, or create, or kind of, you know, send us in one direction in life or the other? Can we sort of let things, you know, run off our back, like, you know, water off of a duck's back? You know, can we remain, you know, our true nature, and see both the physical and the spiritual, and then also live within it and without it, but understand that there's not only that, the spiritual and the physical, but then there's that derivative of both, in which we have to navigate our lives. And, you know, wow, I just, you know, this is some really great stuff. You know, this is some really great thinking, and this gives you a different way of looking at, you know, at life, and appreciating life. So, wow, that is awesome stuff. Thanks.
You know, like I just thought of is, you know, I was reading some kind of scientific health thing, you know, a number of years ago, and they were talking about how our bodies over a 7-year period of time completely replace every single cell in our body, and it becomes this new cell, right? And I'm like, okay, if that's so, why are we actually aging? It doesn't make any sense, because it's not like these cells in our body are as old as the years that we have, you know, been on this earth consciously. Our bodies are brand new every 7 years, you know? And I'm like, so in my thought process, that really struck me when I read that. And of course, the article wasn't anything about, you know, spirituality or you know, intuitive healing or anything along that lines, but it made me think about it. It made me question all of these things that the medical industry tries to tell us and tries to convince us of. And, you know, and that's kind of, it was just like one of those first thoughts that made me start doing a little bit more research on alternative medicine and alternative thought processes and beliefs about illness and all of that kind of thing. And you know, I mean, we've talked so many different times about, you know, where it's just come up in our conversation about miraculous healings and, you know, things that normal people would think just is crazy, or just like a miracle almost, that people get healed. And a lot of it has to do with just their total belief. And you know, I think that's another thing in the medical industry. I mean, anybody that has been in that industry, and I know Catherine's got a lot of experience because she was a nurse for so long, is that you can have two people that have similar illnesses, and one recovers miraculously and the other one doesn't recover at all, and a lot of it has to do with the attitudes of the people who are ill, as well as the attitudes of the people around them and how they're being treated by them. You know, if you have a family that's surrounded you and they're all giving you all this positive energy of, we know you're going to get better, it's all going to work out, you know, I mean, everything's perfect, or not perfect, but, you know, this is no big deal, it's just a phase, you're going to get through it, versus the people who are all surrounded you going, oh my God, it's so terrible, you're not going to be here in another week, and, you know, oh, I mean, just that energy. And then when we were talking about the verse that was about water, and we were reminded of those experiments that were done with water and how they would put water in these different glasses or containers, and then they would write different words on them, and just the act of writing love versus hate, and then they would look at that water under the microscope, and the one that said hate would be all jagged and crazy looking, and the one that said love would be all beautiful like snowflakes in it. And it just goes to show you on that particle or cellular level how our thoughts and how our beliefs can actually impact things at that base level. And if you think about that and how we can have such a big impact, imagine if we all started thinking positively, if we all started having the belief that there is no disease, there is no illness, it's all in our minds. You know, seems like a crazy thought, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the thought I'm thinking. What you want to go on to the next section, or you want to keep talking?
Oh, Donna, go ahead, Donna.
Let me interject something real quick here before I lose my train of thought on it. Samantha kind of touched in on the energy of those of the people around you. You guys excuse my background. I'm in a different part of the house this morning for obvious reasons. But when she spoke about, you know, being around, reading this part here in the chapter, in the verse, brought that up to say this. Let go of your identification with your stuff, and you can also put yourself there if you want to. That's what I done. And with your accomplishments, and try to enjoy what you do and what flows into your life for the pleasure of doing and observing the flow of self. So just say, for instance, and I hope it don't happen, but just say, for instance, we have to lay down and we have to go to sleep. That's the way I look at it. I would much rather just go to sleep right by myself, knowing that I'm in one with the Creator. You know, there's no blocking, than to have is what Samantha just said there. Quite a few of those folks in the room that I used to be like, so to speak. Let me put it that way, because, like, and then Sandy, you touched in on that too earlier. Yeah, all this here stuff going around on the Facebook. Well, I just have to quickly get off of that, because, yeah, if you can get in a funk real quick with that, because it does mirror in on, it comes right back to us, you know, because we are, believe it or not, you know, we are plugged into this thing together, and there's no way out of it, because it don't matter if we're married or divorced or single or whatever, because when he said, look at the two could be, I mean, there's no separation between us and our Creator. Doesn't matter if we're married or not married. And going back, like I said, all this fuss, you have to really get quiet within yourself and just tune it out, because, yeah, you can get in a funk quick, For real. I feel you on that one.
Yeah, I had put a post a couple weeks ago, like, no more reading or watching political stuff right before bedtime, because at that night I was like having weird dreams, like, oh my God, no, I can't, don't do this before bed. Or better not to do it all. Just focus on who you want and leave it all. Let those people fight over there. I know what I'm doing. So thanks for the reminder of the writing on the bottle, Samantha. I knew I said that during the water hangout, and I haven't done it yet, so I made a note, and my marker's here, and I'm going to do it after the hangout. Love and joy. But yeah, I liked what you were saying, Samantha. I've read a lot of articles about that too, and I've wondered before too if there was more of a collective consciousness around there being no illness. I believe that's a possibility, but there's such a consciousness of illness and disease on our planet right now. So yeah, I wondered about that a lot too, and I was reminded of this article I read yesterday about Harvard goes to the Himalayas. Monks with superhuman abilities show scientists what we can all do. So scientists are starting to look at these superhuman abilities that monks have that any human could have. But as we're talking about aging, there was one part where they were talking about Buddha, and they're like, although Buddha passed into nirvana at the age of 81, he could have lived for an eon or until the end of the eon, if only he had been asked to do so. So, and I know I've read stuff of monks that lived for hundreds of years and all this stuff. So, yeah, I don't. There's ways. I don't know what they are, but we'll figure it out someday in some lifetime.
I'm reminded of a video I saw on Facebook just recently. Actually, I just saw the GIF version of it, and then some words, but I didn't actually watch the whole video. But it was of this like 106-year-old little old woman who was dancing with the president, and they were asking her, how does she keep on doing that? And she says, I just keep moving, and I'm like, that's so wonderful. That's the attitude we all need to have, right? It's not, don't let what everybody else thinks is supposed to happen dominate what actually happens to you. I think you just got to keep on moving, keep on doing what you do, and keep on going with a positive attitude. And I think that's what is going to create better health for you, obviously, as well as and changing that attitude within yourself, that ripples out into the people in your life, and that ripples out further and further. And I think the more that we embrace that, the more that we'll be able to change the global consciousness and not be dominated by all of that unpleasant disease and all of that. Because I mean, disease is this. It's like what was I just going to say? I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. In the opening and shutting of Heaven's Gate, can you play the feminine part? And what was it, one of the last verse that talked about the creative femininity. And which one was that? Living creatively. And so I'm wondering, is that kind of what it's talking about there? And what do you guys think? Catherine, I forget what you wrote on that.
I think it's speaking to being a receiver. When I think of masculine energy, it's very forward-moving, and feminine is very receiving. So I think it's speaking to, are you able to receive from the universe? Are you taking the time to realize the oneness and the stillness and listen and actually get the input and also get the energy from the universe? I mean, we're energetic beings. And when you are constantly like in this forward moving, I got to get this done, I got to get this done, I got to make this happen, I got to do this, and you're like in your mind, you're in your plan, you're going after it. That's a very and this has nothing to do with the gender, of course, that we're speaking of, but that's a very masculine energy. And then feminine is more, okay, what do I do now? You know, and then just hold that and just be open to hearing that, and feel not only the ideas and the information coming to you, but the energy to nourish you, because we expend all the time, and there is a constant flow going. We're just not aware of it, that you typically, but you can like block yourself from energy. The collective consciousness that you guys brought up, the energy work that I do, that's what we work with a lot, and it has a tremendous impact on people, especially if they, you know, those of us here on the panel, I don't think any of us watch news or stuff like that. Maybe you do, I don't know, but you know, I don't watch any of that, but a lot of people on the planet do, and they just like when we watch it and it tugs at our emotions, it does that for them, except they go with that, you know, and it builds into this huge, it's a vibration is all it is. I don't want to say it's right or wrong, because who are we to know about anything really, but it's a vibration that is, to me, feels very heavy and fearful and yucky. You know, I don't like what I feel in my body, and I know you guys don't either, and that's why we don't watch it and engage in it. But we are building a collective consciousness of no disease, and unconditional love. You know, we're trying to unplug people from one collective consciousness and kind of help them get to this other collective consciousness, because where we all put our energy, where you put your focus, that's where your energy goes. So if we can shift that focus over to those other collectives. Now, because we're on a plane where there seems to be, at least my reality seems to be, that there is, you know, this positive and negative sort of play, maybe we'll just find a balance in that. You know, maybe we won't go all to one extreme. I don't know if we can all go to one extreme. I don't know what my belief systems are about that. Maybe I'd have to examine that, because I find in my life there has to be sort of a balance. You know, it can't be just all one way or all the other way. So I'll hush now, sorry. I'm just going on.
That was all
Catherine, I'm
me.
here. I'm totally digging what you're saying. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sandy.
Oh, I think you were out already.
I've just had my mic off. You can go ahead.
Okay. It's funny when I read this blog post this morning, because a few minutes before that I was in the kitchen making my smoothie, and I was like, you know what, I need to let it go and let things come in. Like, just let these thoughts go, all this do, and just relax and let things come. And I was talking to a friend about this last night, because we were talking about how we've been in this mode of going for this, going for that, and how sometimes that blocks the receiving, because it's this focus going out constantly. It's like, I have to get this, I have to do that. And, you know, I'm always working on myself and taking these courses to better myself or to manifest something to come into my life. And it's like all this, like, outward energy. And so she's like, you know what, just chill, let things come to you now. And I'm like, you know, that's a good idea. And then a friend had just posted, like, right after that, a quote on Facebook: don't go and get it, be and allow it to come to you. So it was just like all these messages in the past 24 hours, I think 3 times now. So they say 3 is a sign, right? So I'm chilling, all right, and I'm gonna let some things come to me, take the feminine role, and let go of all this doing for a little bit, because that's been my whole year so far. It's just very masculine, so time for some feminine vibes. Thanks for all you shared, Catherine. It was great.
That's cool, Sandy. That's cool. Yeah, when you're open to the possibilities, and they all start to show up, don't they? Catherine, what you were saying about the vibrations, I'm one that I totally can see how the idea of spiritual vibrations ties into the scientific understanding of the molecular vibrations. You know, there is a it all ties together. All of our, well, what they say is our atoms are all vibrating, our molecules are vibrating, and you can even tell when things are vibrating faster from the heat that they put off. But I also think that, and what I've learned from hanging out with you guys and learning and studying other books, is there's, you know, frequencies that are involved. And you know, Sandy, you were talking about earlier where we watch people on TV in these debates, and we kind of get emotional, like you're saying, and to me that's a vibrative state or a frequency that we're allowing ourselves to tune into. and and so you were saying to recognize that what other people are showing in themselves, that's in us too. And I totally get that, but I'm thinking now that, you know, maybe it's not that it's within us, but it's that's a vibrational state that we can tune into if we choose to. And it's not that that is within us, but it's that frequency that we can react to if we choose. And if we choose to, then it comes out, then it comes through us in that way. And so I'm thinking that all vibrational states are a choice, and these emotional states are coming at us at all. They come at us at different speeds, and sometimes we want to hold off and say, hold on, let me make sure I'm going in the right direction, or we have these other thoughts that we've been taught as we've grown up to watch out for this and that and the other. And if we're able to, let's see, what I wrote down here was, the idea of being able to embrace but also let go, to understand but also not let it have an effect on you, on your natural spirit, I guess, of where you want to go and what you want to, or what you are naturally. But embracing life, but letting go of the outcomes. You're expecting outcomes, so that we can also let go of those things that we're worried about happening. So, talked about expecting the worst outcome, But I totally agree with what you're saying, whether it's a choice, and even our choice to age, what do you want, how much time and, focus, as you said, Catherine, when you focus, there goes your energies, go towards that, whatever you focus on. So how much energy do you want to focus on the things that hold you back, or the things that are that you deem negative in the world? So, wow, this is just some really great information. Thanks a lot, guys. What do you think?
I love what you said, Jason. That was, however you worded it, I have to watch the replay and write it down, because it spoke clearly to me about the vibrations we're picking up, and whether we can choose to go get sucked into them and be in that frequency or not. So I have to write all down what you said.
So that's not a characteristic of us,
right?
Frequency that if we're not careful, we can end up tuning into, and then it will come through us.
Yeah, that resonates with me 1,000%. Thank you so much.
Right? So we don't have to think, oh, well, I'm just like that. If I wasn't, and then think that, oh, we're less of a person for that. No, we can all tune into that energy or not, so cool.
Absolutely.
Well, you gave me that idea.
Please, talk. Whenever you want to talk, you get.
No, I just had a thought process there too when you guys were talking. Going back to the verse here, he said, in literally, you own nothing and no one. Actually, we really do think about that, we don't even own, we don't own anything or no one, but we can own our thoughts and the energy that we, like we talked about, that we feed into. Either you feed into it or you don't feed into it. That's totally your thinking, your thoughts. It's just like if I'm looking out into this camera right now and I'm looking to the audience, whatever who may see this in the future, I always kind of, I don't want to get deep with this, but my thought process is always looking ahead. It's not like looking like right now, and I'm here in this moment, but I'm still looking in the future. And then I'll say this, and I'll leave it alone. Had a checkup this week, and the nurse looked at me, and she looked at me kind of funny. Like, you know how when some people look at you a little bit funny after they check your vital signs. I was like, I said, is everything all right? She's, wow, you got the blood pressure of a teenager. I said, well, my doctor always told me not to let things stress me out too much, and so there you go. That's it from me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome, Donna. That's wonderful. You just, yeah. You know, I had some doctors laugh at me one time because I didn't know how old I was. I didn't know my exact age. I'm like, I don't know, 40 something. And they went out into the hall and they were laughing at each other. I guess they thought I couldn't hear, but they were like, that woman doesn't know how old she is. I'm just like, what does it matter, you know? But you guys have all said some wonderful things, and Jason, I mean, you hit the nail right there on the head about it being a choice. And Catherine, I liked how you mentioned the part about you brought up a good point, and it's not it isn't for us to decide what is right or what is wrong as far as negativity versus positivity. You know, negativity is just negativity and positivity is just positivity. But my kind of thought process on that is, what do we say we want as a collective consciousness, and then how do we act? And it's how we act that causes the outcome, right? So if we all say we want peace and we want world love and love oneness and all of that kind of thing, then the actions that we must take must be in the positive direction versus all of that negativity and whatnot, you know. And a lot of times, I mean, we talk a lot about positivity versus negativity, and it's like, I think that much of the time we talk about negativity as if it's wrong. And the thing is it's not that it's wrong, it's just that doesn't take us in the direction we say we want to go, right? So so I just wanted to mention that. So thank you. And Sandy, what did you said something? Oh, the whole letting go and stop doing and just allow. And you know, it's been really like that for me for the past few months, as I'm starting to come into this time in my life where everything is going to get a little bit more chaotic. And so just this week in the transition from Georgia up to here and knowing everything that's about to happen and all of that, is I have just been kind of letting go and being like, you know, I embrace whatever happens, whatever comes, and I know that it's going to be the best for me, and that I just am having faith that I will remain in my peaceful place as I go through everything that is ahead of me, and just kind of let go of that feeling that I have to control all of the little aspects and just allow them to come and deal with them as they come. So that's kind of been my attitude. Shoot, we only got about halfway through this verse, and we're already at the top of the hour.
I just want to
Supposed to come back to it again next week. Go ahead, Jason, jump out.
Real quick about what you just said. See, what was it that last thing you said, and about I was thinking about tuning it out. You know, you were just saying, you know, deal with it as it comes, and I thought that was very poignant. Deal with it. You know, as Donna was saying, you know, we tune it out, but we need to learn what to tune out and what not to tune out, what to tune out and what to deal with. You know. Because sometimes it's easier just to tune everything out, right? You know, but if you have something that bothers you, something that's bothering you, reoccurring, coming back up in your life over and over again, I think we gotta realize that we can have that. We should have that intuition, trust that intuition that needs to be addressed. We need to go ahead and deal with that, and not just continue to tune that out. So, but I just thought that was, that was important, because a lot of this seems to be like, oh, well, let's just drift through life and, and take it as it comes, and but it's, of course, life isn't all about that. We have to take action, put energy into things we want. So, oh, it's great to be here. Great to see you guys. I miss everybody that wasn't able to show up today, but gosh, a lot of great information, and I don't even think we've gotten through the whole verse yet. Do you want, do you want me to go ahead and finish this off, or would someone else like to do that? Or we can't go yet. We haven't finished the verse.
Well, we read the whole verse at the beginning, and we've just kind of been addressing each little question as we've been going through it. And I don't know. I mean, shall we come back to it? Because we're already at 10:57, so we've only got 3 minutes left. Shall we come back to this and finish up our discussion about it next week? What do you guys think?
Well, it looks to me like it kind of goes back over itself and just reemphasizes everything that's been talked about in the other verses. Having yet not possessing, working yet not taking credit, leading without control and domination. Interesting that the one who heeds this power brings the Tao to this very earth. So, is it like you were saying, Sandy, where our thoughts can manifest things? Even the Tao, itself. It's up to us to bring these things into reality, into existence, right? At a certain level. So, oh, awesome, guys. I'm good.
Great. Okay. Well, then, I think that if anybody has any final thoughts on this verse, is just jump over to our website. Right now, it's SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. But if you go to MindsetMasteryCollective.com, that is our main URL for our website, and you can find any of our posts when you go there. So the SaturdayMorningMastermind.com always redirects you to the live broadcast page of the week. So it'll keep redirecting you there for another couple of days, and then it'll switch over to the newest post. But share your thoughts on what we talked about. And but before we go, does anybody have any final thoughts on our discussion for today?
I just want to bring out one more thing. Actually, you said it there, Samantha, it's one thing to say that we want peace. It's another thing to be peace. We can't say, I want you to be peaceful, because that's an aggressive act right there. You have to be peaceful within yourself. You have to hold that vibration within yourself. If we look at, I mentioned this somewhere, I don't remember now, but if you look at my Facebook or you talk to me, I'm like, peace this, peace that, peace that. But when I look at myself, I can still see that there are wars about certain things within myself, and that's the only thing I can control, is straightening out my vibration. And if everybody can just do that, then the collective will kind of fix itself on its own. So that's all I have to say. Thank you, everyone. And please add your comments on the blog post over on where Samantha just told you about, because I would love to continue this discussion.
Fantastic.
Awesome, guys. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, Karen, and thank you, Heron. We're glad that you came out and shared a little comments with us. And then for those of you who are watching this as a replay, you can still add to the blog post. There'll be a link below the video on YouTube where you can easily find the right blog post that goes with this particular video. And otherwise, you can always find us every week at SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. That will redirect you to the weekly post and broadcast that for every week. So with that, guys, have a great, awesome, amazing weekend. Please like our video on YouTube. Share anything with us on Google+. Follow us over there. You can find us on Twitter also. And that's it for today. Bye for now.